I would notice that, and so I would always ask them, like, if you hate your wife, why did you marry her? And in short, that's the reason why they married her. Men don't marry the women that they love. They actually marry the woman that they hate.
Not to say that all men hate their wives, innit? But there's a huge majority, I believe it's a majority, of men that hate their wives with their guts. And they're just dead, like they have no other option but to stay.
73% of divorces are initiated by women. Yeah, that's because men don't initiate divorce. Y'all will literally stay in the same marriage with a woman that you hate and torture her for the entirety of your lives together because you will not leave.
I'm gonna just say it right here, right now. Majority of men hate their wives, innit? I'm gonna be 100% honest, because you know when they joke to you about, oh, you don't want to get married, mate, or oh, your life's gonna go downhill from the second you get married, mate. Yeah, they cover it up with a bit of humor, but really and truly, we know deep down, like, you know, you meant what you said, innit? And I did overhear this one conversation, yeah, this guy, he just sounded like he just hated his wives with all his guts, bro. I just couldn't believe it. I was thinking to myself, like, why would you get married in the first place then? Obviously, not to say that all men hate their wives, innit? But there's a huge majority, I believe it's a majority, of men that hate their wives with their guts. And they're just dead, like they have no other option but to stay there within the marriage.
I want to say something about this. He asked the question, why do men who hate their wives get married, or, you know, why did they get married? And the answer is because women, no matter if a man hates them or not, provides, she makes his life exponentially better. Which then begs the question, why would he hate her then? Right? So men marry women who they hate. And this is what people are saying. Oh, they date women who they hate. They marry women who they hate. Okay. But I mean, and then you ask the person, why do you get married to them? And then they go, oh, I don't know. They're lying. The reason why they get married to them is because that woman is making his life easier. He's making more money. He's happier. He's healthier. He's, you know, all those things. Like I said. So then why does he hate her? Because he hates women. Because he hates women. Because he hates women. And men feel like women are supposed to be there to make them happy. Men view women as a utility, as a tool. That's it. That's the only that's what it is. So a woman in the eyes of a man, in the mind of a man, is an inanimate object. Right? At the end of the day, it's not even, it's almost indifference. Like, they just don't care about the women in a lot of cases. It's not even that they hate the women. They just don't care about the women. They don't care about how they feel. They don't care about if they come. They don't care about if they're happy. They don't care if they're going through stuff. Like, they just don't care. It's indifference. It's indifference. Sometimes they hate them. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they actively want to make their lives worse, right? That's when the hate comes up. But I think for most men, they just don't give a fuck. They're just indifferent, which is not better. I'm just saying, I think there is a difference though in how it looks. It looks like men ignoring all of the time that they would spend with their wives, to, you know, ignoring all of that time, or shifting that time to doing shit that they shouldn't necessarily be doing now that they have a wife. Like, they want to go play golf for 5 hours on Saturday, or they join a pool league or a bowling league without their wives, or they play video games and their wives don't play video games, or they escape all the time, right? Which, again, I know that I've had that problem in my relationship personally, when my wife will be talking about how I escape all the time, and it wasn't intentional. It wasn't like I was like, oh, I hate it here. Oh, I hate her. It wasn't, I never felt like that, ever. But impact over intent, right? Impact over intent. And it was something that I was made aware of. And I'm like, okay, I could either keep fighting her, and I still struggle with it at times, because I think my default, because I'm an avoidant, I don't, you know, whatever you want to call it, I have an avoidant attachment or whatever the hell, that I'm usually like, oh, let me, I gotta go to the store. I gotta, in my ADHD, it's a lot of things going on with me. But again, it's not an intentional thing, but you do need to be intentional. That's the point. If you're indifferent and you don't care or you don't take their feelings into account, that's bad. You don't have to actively hate them. It doesn't have to be to a point to where you like, oh, I hate this broad. I'm trying to make her life worse. Like, it's not that. But her life is worse because you're ignoring her, because you're not paying attention enough. And she's crying out for help and you're not helping her. Might as well be hate. Same fucking thing at that point. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to split hairs here. But I do want to be, because I know the reason why I want to tell that story is because a lot of men are going to say, I don't hate my wife. I don't hate my wife. I don't hate my wife. Yeah, right. They're going to be reactionary. Let's not do that. It doesn't have to be that you actively hate that woman, but if you're actively ignoring her, what the fuck is the difference? What is the difference? Ask your wife. What does it feel any different? Shit, she probably would prefer you hate her. At least you're giving her some attention.
Working in the strip club, I found that the number one demographic of men that go were married men. And I would probably say 95% of those married men, the first lead opening conversation that they
Real quick. She just reminded me of something. I was on the live, I think it was yesterday, and I was talking about how I hadn't looked this up or whatever the case may be. But I've been in many lives when people have said this stat over and over and over again. Like smart people, not dummies, but like, like intelligent people. And they'll be like, yeah, some like crazy amount or some crazy percentage of men on dating apps are married men. And I like said that yesterday. And I prefaced it by saying, I was like, I don't know. I haven't looked this up, but it seems plausible. That was why I repeated it. And do you know that it's always the worst of men who I know, if they're married or if they're in a relationship, they actually are on dating apps. It's weird. Or if they were, they would be like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're just shitty ass men, right? But then when I made that statement, they all got grumbled and grumbled and was like, oh no, I don't believe that. I don't believe it. I didn't even think that would be a thing that men couldn't admit. You know what I'm saying? Like, men have gotten to the point now where, like, back in the day, I would say, like, me being like an older millennial, we didn't hide that men cheated, and you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying that we cheated or that, but just as a group, if we talked about infidelity, men would acknowledge it. We'd be like, yeah, men be cheating. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't like something that I would have a conversation with men about, and they'd be like, no, man, I really don't think men don't be cheating that much. Like, if I had that conversation with men, like, we were all like, yeah, men be cheating. We be cheating. I was cheating. He was cheating. He was cheating. They were like, men be cheating, right? Nowadays, dude, it is so, the men are so far gone. Like, they won't even concede to shit that is so obvious. They will not even concede to that type of stuff, because if they feel like if they give up any room or any space, then their whole plot collapses, because it's all a plot. It's all a scheme, right? It's all a scheme to paint women out to be the villains so that we can control women and get them into a more subservient position. Women are the ones who are destroying the families. Women are the ones who are actually the cheaters. Women are the ones who are doing the things that we know men to be doing. You know what I mean? Like, it's always that. And I could be a little bit nicer. Why y'all always got to crash out on us when we approach you in public and we're like disrespectful? Why you always got to crash out on us? Just be nice like our grannies used to be. I could be a little bit nicer. That's all they're trying to get. Thank you. That's all I'm asking for. Now give me your number, B-word. Like, it's like, what, nigga? Like, that's all it is. It's just to get women to, the women's expectations of men have been on the rise. Their expectations of men, it's on the rise. And what men want to do is curb that. They just want to bring that down 2 or 3 or 4 notches. That's it. That's what it is. But she reminded me of that.
Working in the strip club, I found that the number one demographic of men that go were married men. And I would probably say 95% of those married men, the first lead opening conversation that they would have when I was a stripper was that they fully admitted that they hated their wives. They fully admitted that they could not stand their wives. They fully admitted that they hated coming home to their wives. They hated spending time with their children. And they just hated the whole idea of like being a family, being committed to a woman, having to spend time with their children, having to be obligated to do parental things, to do adult things. And of course, you know, not only would they tell us this because like they were venting, but men often lose sight of assimilating to an environment that they're in. And so they would always forget that they're in a strip club and that we're there to take money from them. Like, we're not going to give you a sympathy dance because you hate your wife. Like, we're not going to sell you a room for 50% off because you're complaining about how you hate your wife. They're used to the regular world where, you know, most women will accept sympathy as a form of payment in order to do things for men because they feel bad for them. At the strip club, we're not doing that shit. We only talking green. We only talking dollars at the strip club. So I would notice that, and so I would always ask them, like, if you hate your wife, why did you marry her? And in short, that's the reason why they married her. Men don't marry the women that they love. They actually marry the woman that they hate because it's psychological. Whenever you want to earn someone's favor, it's usually because the person is not reciprocating anything back. That's why you feel the need to earn it, right? Because if someone hates you, if someone hates the other, but then you like that person, it's going to make you work harder for their favor. It's going to make you work harder for their love. Men don't want to be with women that they like, because they understand that the more that they like a woman, the more that they will do for a woman. And the whole purpose of marriage to men and what they exposed to me in the strip club is that they get married out of convenience to be able to get a bargain. They marry the woman who they get their bargain from. So he will marry someone that he hates because she's always going to want to cook. She's always going to want to clean. She's always going to want to make sacrifices in order to get him to love her and to like her. And so that's the reason why they end up marrying a woman that they can't stand. And so to kind of take the brunt of dealing with the woman that they hate, they will come to the strip club. They will get on OF. They will follow IG baddies. They will
cheat. I mean, that's cheating too, but they will definitely flat out cheat. I do want to add something real quick. I that perspective that she has is, I think, very good. I think it's really spot on. I think there is a very large demographic of men who that applies to. I don't know what percentage, but I definitely, what she's saying is spot on. Like, that's spot on. I also just wanted to add the demographic of men who just genuinely hate all women. And even if they got with the woman that they liked or thought that they liked, they would still mistreat her too. And a lot of the times they get with the women that they like them at first, or they at least, I don't know, they like them at first, right? And then that shine wears off for them, and then they start to treat them like every other woman, because a lot of times men put on, men, and this, I want to be clear about this. A lot of times men mask, if you will. I mean, that's what we call it. But a lot of times they're not, it's weird. It's like, it's not really it's not a conscious thing. It's not something that they're doing consciously. Like, they're not masterminds, right? A lot, like, most men really aren't masterminds, to be honest with you. Most men aren't master manipulators. They're not. There are some master manipulators, but not most men aren't. But what most men are is, I look at men like how I look at soldiers in the military. You can train situational intelligence into a soldier, and it could just be like second nature. It's a reaction. You just train that into them. It's not like they're actually smart. It's not like you know what I mean? Like they just have been trained. Like when this happens, it triggers this. You A plus B, and then you do C, right? It's like that, right? A lot of times for these men, because we're so conditioned and propagandized and socialized to be a certain way, that we are with the woman who we think we like, right? We genuinely feel like we like her. But that is the mechanism that's in place for us to get the woman, that is created by society. That's the romance that men created. That's the, oh, let me get that door for you. Oh, you want to go there? Oh, like letting shit roll off your back when she says something like, oh, I know, it's all good, honey. You know, like all of that is trained into us. We don't even know it. It's not conscious. We didn't study it. It's there. We get with the woman being that person. She likes us. But but then we are also trained to hate our wives at the exact same time. So once they are our wives, and once we're trained to hate the mothers of our the mothers of our children too. Once we are in those positions with them, that's when it just naturally melts away. It's literally like caterpillars don't know they're going to become butterflies. You know what I'm saying? Like they're it's evolution at that point. They're just being caterpillars. They're just chomping on leaves and whatever, and then they turn into a butterfly, or a moth or whatever, right? They don't know it though. That's how men are, right? Except for we turn into grotesque creatures. We shed, we go reverse. I think that there is also, and I don't know what percentage of men is what. I think that what she's saying would apply to a large group of men. Could be majority, could be minority. I don't fucking know. But I also think that a lot of men are just socialized to play nice until it's time to not play nice, if that makes sense.
Watch corn, because essentially they need something to offset the brunt that they're taking daily of having to see a woman that they hate every day, sleeping with a woman that they hate, sharing space with a woman that they hate. That's why men created a man cave. Men literally created a space in their own home to be away from a woman because they don't genuinely like the woman that they're with. They're just only with her because they're able to extract resources. So essentially, men get married to a food that is healthy for them, but they don't like it, right? So the food that you can't stand, but it's really, really good for you, like spinach, right? They essentially get married to spinach, and they have to eat a lot.
I ain't gonna hold you. No spinach slander, please. Spinach is delicious. Raw spinach is good. Cooked spinach is better. Like spinach is delicious, but I hear you though. Let's pick something. All I'm saying is pick something else. Spinach is my shit. I love spinach.
A lot of spinach, to try to stay full, but that's not going to keep them full. But it's got all the nutrients, it's got all the minerals, it's got all the vitamins. It will keep them healthy, but they have a sweet tooth. Men say this all the time. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I can have a steak, but what's wrong with the little sandwich on the side? Mm-hmm. Men literally use this, and men have told me this plenty of times in the strip club. They want something extra on the side to get them through the struggle that they have to go through every day based off of the woman that they married. Men have a lot of cognitive dissonance, and I don't think that a lot of women realize that, because for women are more logical than men. Okay? That's a lie whenever men are saying that they're more logical. No.
Because women are also better at processing their emotions, and men and emotion and logic go hand in hand in these instances. Because to everything she's saying about men like avoiding women, again, 100% right. And the reason why they do that a lot of times is because we haven't been able to make a human connection with the woman, because we're not fully human, or we're not developed in that way. We haven't developed that muscle. So we are in these relationships where we get we reap the benefits, the material benefits from the women, while never having to have those growing pains of becoming a human being. and learning how to make those deep connections by being vulnerable, right? Because we talk about that all the time, how men just, we don't want to be vulnerable. We don't know how to process our emotions. That's a thing. And we're not, and it's one thing to say we don't know how to do it. And it's another thing to say we don't know how to do it and we don't even want to learn. We avoid learning how to do it. And that's what's going on with men as well.
Women are more logical because it only makes sense to get married to someone that you like. But you always have to remember, men operate from a place of lack because they are not a full person. So they have to have cognitive dissonance because they have to make sure that they get something to make up for their lack while also getting something that will fuel their desire. You get what I'm saying? So they marry the woman that's going to complete him while cheating on that wife with a woman that will fulfill his desires. Because men also have to uphold patriarchy. And so men understand that they can't marry a hoe. They can't, because that doesn't uphold patriarchy. You don't marry a hoe under patriarchy. You don't marry a hot girl under patriarchy. You marry a plain Jane because she's going to like you more. She's going to want to do more from you. And also, she ain't going to expect much from you because she's already a plain Jane in her normal life. So she isn't going to expect anything from you because her own life, she doesn't do much. But their desire is the hoe, right? Their desire is the hot girl. Their desire is the IG baddie. So they'll have their, the thing that they need. They'll marry her even though they don't like her. And then the dark side of them that they really, really want to get out and that they really want to practice, that's where they go and they go on ahead and decide to deal with the 304, the IG baddie, the escort, etc., etc. So one of the things that the strip club taught me is that men's selection of their wife is due to pure hatred.
I will say a couple of things. Men love marrying hoes. It happens all the time. But secondly, and I'm talking about men call all women hoes, so whatever, take that with a grain of salt. But men love marrying the hot girls and the IG baddies or whatever. The question becomes, do the IG baddies want to marry them? And most of the time they don't. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the thing. But yeah, the men would marry those women in a heartbeat because men will tell you off the top, I don't care how much money she make, I don't care. They don't give a fuck. They don't care. If that woman is pleasing that man in bed, you know what I'm saying, and giving that body up regularly, that man is gonna be interested. Let's be for real. And we know that most women, whether they IG baddies or plain Janes, they're going to do the domestic labor. That's the thing about women. That's why I always laugh, because like with men, it like doesn't matter what grade, what type of man you're talking about. If you're talking about a high earning man, he's not going to show up emotionally in a relationship. He's not going to show up, in a domestic capacity in a relationship. You're talking about a low earning man. He's not going to show up emotionally. He's not going to show up domestically. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't matter. But with women, it's the opposite. It doesn't matter if she got a low body count, high body count, baddie, plain Jane, don't matter. She is going to show up significantly more than that man. I'm not saying the IG baddies and the hot girlies or whatever show up just as much as the plain Jane women or the more domesticated women. I don't know. But my point was, do they show up do they show up enough? You know what I'm saying? Do they show up enough to where they're not a burden on the man and they're adding value to the man's life? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, without a doubt. So yeah, I don't know. Men love to marry women who they would otherwise call 304s. And we know that men usually just call women 304s because they're just trying to nag them and get them to lower their standards to be with men like them. So they just call every instant. Oh, y'all just care about men with money, and you don't really. They be hoping you'll react to it like I know you don't really want to fuck with a nigga that make $75,000. I just make $75,000 a year. Y'all be wanting them big ballers. You wouldn't mess with somebody like me. Like that's that's the ploy. That's the game there. You know what I'm saying?
thoughts and prayers for my hair, y'all. My brain has just been on fire having to think critically for all of these men in my comments who seem to share one single solitary brain cell that they pass back and forth to each other and then run into my comments with it. 73% of divorces are initiated by women. Yeah, that's because men don't initiate divorce. Y'all will literally stay in the same marriage with a woman that you hate and torture her for the entirety of your lives together because you will not leave. It's more beneficial for you to just be in a marriage you hate and get free labor than it is for you to go be alone. Y'all hate being alone. It's crazy. Like, I used to think that the fact that I broke up with all of my exes, that none of them would ever break up with me, meant that, like, I was amazing. No, it's just because men literally will not leave relationships. You guys will psychologically torment your wives and girlfriends until they leave you. That's what you do. That's why most women initiate divorce.
And that is why men can marry women that they hate, because the benefits of a woman, again, whether you hate them or not, if you're a man, is far going to outweigh whatever negative feelings you have for her. That's just the reality. Like, men don't, like, we can't love women. I don't know how else to say it. We can't love women in the patriarchy. You can't love a woman. It's impossible. You can't be patriarchal and love women. The patriarchy doesn't leave room for that. You can't be patriarchal and love children. You can't. Love doesn't exist in the patriarchy. There's no place for it, because love is the thing that leads to equity and equality. If you love somebody, then you want things to be equitable for them, right? By default. So of course you can never love a woman. Of course you can't love women. If you loved women, then you would want them to be treated fairly. You would want them to be treated equitably. You would want them to be treated equally. So yeah, love doesn't exist in the patriarchy. It's impossible.
It's nothing to do with women being like the type of people that just throw marriages away. No. And you know what? Did you know that a child who is raised in a loving single parent home is actually psychologically and emotionally far better off, leagues better off, than a child who is raised in a home with two parents where the parents are in an unhappy or abusive marriage? Kids just do better in peaceful homes where there's stability. And
say that again. I mean, this is common sense, but say that again.
The type of people that just throw marriages away. No. And you know what? Did you know that a child who is raised in a loving single parent home is actually psychologically and emotionally far better off, leagues better off, than a child who is raised in a home with two parents where the parents are in an unhappy or abusive marriage? Kids just do better in peaceful homes where there's stability and access to resources. Period.
Now, let's ask the question, what percentage of marriages and or relationships do you think are abusive? What percentage? Do you think most relationships are abusive? Do you think some relationships are abusive? Or do you think a lot of relationships are abusive? I think most relationships are abusive. So if most relationships are abusive, it would stand to reason, and this is what I've been saying, a single mother with resources is the best case scenario for a child. Like, out of the, I'm saying the majority of the time, that's the best case scenario for a child. No doubt about it. A single mother with resources is better than, in general, a two-parent household with resources. If everything besides the one parent, everything is a one-to-one. So the money, the resources are a one-to-one, all of that stuff. The mother raising the child is better off without the man, because in the majority of the cases, the man is abusing the wife, and that is negatively going to impact the relationship with the child. That's just what it is. So yeah, and I've been saying this for a long time. The studies point to this too, because anytime they bring up that dumbass stat about how Single mothers are responsible for the majority of the prisoners and da 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 da, and that has everything to do with economics and nothing to do with the single mother. Um, I also bring up the fact that in those same studies, it proves that when single mothers have the same amount or roughly the same amount of money and resources as two-parent households, the outcomes for the children are pretty much identical. But I think if you researched it more, you would come to find out, like I said, and like she was saying, that single mothers with resources fare better than two-parent households in general because of the men. That's sad, but I think it's the reality.